What this week's Off the Cuff is about? That's right, belly chains, the new fashion accessory for politicians everywhere. Well, I thought that we would look at belly chains today. This form of restraint has been around just about as long as handcuffs have been. I think it was Alex Nichols that brought up in one of his books that the belly chain is basically more of a psychological restraint than a physical restraint. That means that if a prisoner in a courtroom is cuffed behind his back, he's pretty much helpless anyway, with all the bailiffs and sheriffs and all the lawmen watching him. And that shackling someone's hands to his waist is really just overkill. The visual helps reinforce the fact that this prisoner is a prisoner and he is helpless. Unfortunately, I only have a few examples of belly chains and just one that's vintage, which I showed you in another video before, but we'll take a look at it again. This is the first belly chain I ever owned and bought, and it's made by Hyatt. I actually bought this at a police supply house outside of Philadelphia where I grew up years and years and years ago. And please excuse all the noise because there's a lot of chain involved and it tends to clank. The first pair I ever bought, the first set actually, was made by Hyatt. Basically, there's two different styles of belly chains. One's with the hands at the front and one at the sides. The first set I bought, these Hyatts, your hands would be at the side. They're just your standard Hyatts. Little damage over the years, you know, little dirt and schmutz and whatever. But I liked them because they came with this big ring and a series of smaller rings where you would thread it through like this and adjust it to the size of the belly of the prisoner. And then you would attach a padlock from one ring to the other. I also have another set of Hyatts where they're at the front. And this is basically just a chain with a big wider loop around the connecting chain of the cuffs. In the hands at the side version, it's a single cuff on each side. Modern swing through, of course. And the chain is considerably shorter, but it has longer links and there's no rings to adjust it. Now you can still purchase these obviously to any of the handcuff supply houses. I also have a pair of Smith & Wessons. It's hands at the sides version. And it also has a series of extra rings here. Here, similar to the Hyatts again, but much smaller. I guess they do everything bigger in England. Just look at the comparison. This is the Hyatt end ring, and this is the Smith & Wesson. Again, you're gonna hear an awful lot of clanging, so I apologize. But see the difference? As far as lengths go, they're almost identical, even with the added size difference of the connecting links. See the rings? The older ones are the Hyatts, and the newer shiny ones are the Smith & Wessons, because I've had the Hyatt since I was about, I don't know, 15, I guess. So a good 3-4 years. They also made waist restraints that weren't actual chains. They would be something like this on a belt. Now this I got off eBay, and I do believe that it's handmade from a police belt, like a duty belt. Duty. The cuffs are attached to the sides, like that. You can also buy belts with just a leather belt with a big loop that the handcuffs would go through, again, at the front. What I really want is some of those antique vintage ones, you know, like the ones that were made out of steel and iron with the handcuffs attached, or a derby belt. I'm sure you've seen on the handcuff site the different belts that Hyatt used to make with the derby cup. The vintage ones I have, which we looked at before, were the Towers style, because according to the people that have looked at these, they're not, you know, maybe they're not actual Towers, but these are Tower style cuffs, Hands would go at the sides, and there's just one ring here, and no oversized rings on this side. You would just thread it through that once it was around, and that makes me tend to think that either it's missing something at the end, but I doubt it. These older ones might not have been designed with a padlock in mind to keep around the waist of the prisoner. Sometimes they would actually use it like a leash, so it would be around your waist. Let me demonstrate. They would sometimes call these leader chains because the officer would have a grip on that instead of putting a padlock through here, because you can't really fit one through these teeny links. Whereas the Hyatt, similar to the Siberian chain, you escape artists know what I'm talking about. Now you don't want to confuse a lead chain handcuff with the belly chain, because a lead chain also meant something of this design. In this case, a bean, and it just has a real long chain attached to it with a big ring at the end. And if you look through all catalogs, you can see the descriptions of the different cuffs and their intended use. So this is a strange one too, because it just has the one cuff on a chain. I think this is about 5 feet or so. They would come in different sizes depending on what the individual purchaser wanted. Unfortunately, that's all the examples I have of belly chains. Now, there's other collectors out there, and you know who you are, because you were at the last Lancaster Lock show. He had Cummings, he had H&Rs, I think there was Beans. It just blew my mind, all the chains and stuff that he had, and they were just really amazing, and you know who you are. I would really, really like to get my hands on some of the older ones, not just the medieval ones, because yes, these did go back to medieval times, but you know, the different manufacturers, especially, and this is at the top of my wish list, the Berliner belly chain. John Bushy actually told me about who purchased the Berliner belly chain at an auction years ago, the one that belonged to Houdini. And Houdini got it from the court where it was used on the prisoner in Germany who killed a postman. And the story goes that he wanted to rob the mail, so he invited the postman in for a beer, and as he went to drink the beer from the bottle, the guy knocked it down his throat with a 2x4, or a big board, and killed him. Houdini was in the court during the trial, and the guy was locked up in a Berliner belly chain, and he managed to finagle his way to get it as a souvenir. The provenance and pedigree of this particular restraint is easy to trace, and it's ironclad. And I don't know if the celebrity still has it, or if she sold it off to somebody else over the years. And if I ever get to meet her, I'll find out. Here's a hint. That's who has it, or had it. Well, the fact that I only have a few examples of belly chains is the reason why this video is so short. One way to remedy that would be if somebody were to send me a bunch of belly chains for free. This is the week before Thanksgiving here in the States. On the 28th of November, I'm going to be doing a live show, believe it or not, in Delaware at a place called Bar 13. It's sold out because due to the COVID restrictions and all of the precautions taken by the venue, there's a very small audience. It's very small and everyone's going to be spread out. So I'm just going to be doing a 10-minute gig with a bunch of horror punk bands, which is going to be really cool. Since everybody can't go there live, I'm going to be doing my best to get the best quality video that I can so that I can put it up here on the channel and give you guys something really out there to watch. I think you'll enjoy it because I have some really cool crap planned. The other big announcement is that some of the merch is finally here. So it will be up on the online store as soon as possible. I just got the proofs back from the printer and the people that make this stuff, and it looks pretty good. I'm going to give you a sneak preview. Here's one of the shirts that will be available for sale soon. This is the proof that they sent me. There we go. The other one is going to be a really cool off-the-cuff one, and a couple others that you'll have to see. But as soon as I get that link ready, you'll be the first to know. Look at that, that's pretty cool. That looks just like me. Now, these are just the proofs that they sent me, and I okayed them, so I'm waiting for the actual stuff to come in. Little mini posters. Whoa. So, and as soon as it's all ready to go, you'll be the first to know. So there's a lot going on with everybody, of course. The world has been just crazy go nuts lately. I just want you guys to stay safe. I'm hoping that these videos give you something to do to kill some time during the day. Don't forget, if you have anything to leave in the comments, do it. Click on the subscribe button, get all of your friends to do it too. And if you're really feeling generous, send your old cuffs to me at the address at the end of the video. By the way, did you see this? And be sure to tune into my Magic Mondays show too. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm gonna go run down the street and freak out all the neighbors.